All right, so let's talk about some key takeaways for Amazon. So ad spend for Amazon sponsored product ads actually increased 11% quarter over quarter, while sponsored brands saw an increase of 8.5% in quarter four in 2022. Cost per click remained flat quarter over quarter for sponsored products and had a decrease of 1.3% quarter over quarter for sponsored brands at an average of $1.58. You guys are going to see graphics on this in the following slides. Ad spend on sponsored products for clothing and shoes and jewelry significantly increased quarter over quarter by 53.44% in quarter four. So that's a pretty big jump. And for the holiday season, stocking stuffers for adults was the top search term in December 2022, which actually replaced Christmas movies from the 2021 shopping season. So, all right, so now let's talk about some of the search terms that we've seen move through the seasons here. So in October 2021 versus 2022, Halloween costumes and Christmas decorations continued to dominate the top search term spots in quarter four. As expected, they're always popular terms. One other change in the terms here is the iPhone cases continues to show up as one of the most searched terms in quarter four, because I believe that Apple strategically launches their new iPhones every September, so they can hit that quarter four rush and hit those new keywords as trending. Another search term that was super popular was gifts for women and men, as well as stocking stuffers. These emerged as top search terms for December 2022, as expected for the shopping rush. And then another one is Squishmallow. That rose to the top of searches in November and December of 2022, which my kids are probably part of the reason of that. I'm sure a lot of you guys here can relate. So, all right, as I said, we were going to go through some graphical representations of how these different KPIs changed. So while ad spend surged for both sponsored product and sponsored brands in quarter four, CVR and ROAS actually trended downward. CTR and CPC for sponsored product remained flat and unchanged at 0%, but CTR and CPC trended downward for sponsored brand. All right, next we are going to talk about the average daily spend between sponsored product and sponsored brand. It's just a quick little summary here. Average daily ad spend for sponsored product increased 11% quarter over quarter, while sponsored brand ads saw an increase of 8.5% in quarter four in 2022. The average daily spend for sponsored products decreased slightly, though, by 0.8% year over year and fell by 12.8% for sponsored brands in quarter four. And then we're going to go into CTR. So CTR for sponsored product ads remained unchanged quarter over quarter at an average of 0.31%. Sponsored product CTR experienced a decline year over year with a total decrease of 8.8%. And then CTR for sponsored brand ads decreased by 12.9% quarter over quarter, down to 0.54%, while sponsored brand CTR remained flat with an increase of actually 1.9% year over year. And then next slide here, going through the metric of CPC. So CPC for sponsored products remained fairly flat, decreased slightly for the sponsored brands in quarter four. Sponsored product CPCs remained unchanged, actually at 0% quarter over quarter at an average of $1.21, while CPCs for sponsored product ads decreased 14.8% year over year. And then sponsored brand CPC showed a modest decrease of 1.3% quarter over quarter at an average of $1.58, while sponsored brands fell by 8.1% year over year. And then next we have conversion rates. So these do continue to decrease over time. In quarter four, we saw that both ad types fell for a fourth consecutive quarter. Sponsored product ad conversion rates, so the CVR dropped with a 6.7% decrease quarter over quarter, while CVR decreased by 10.4% year over year at an average of 17.46%. And then sponsored brand ads, CVR decreased 8% quarter over quarter and 16.9% year over year at an average of 15.16%. And then next here we have the sponsored product and sponsored brand. ROAS is actually up year over year. So sponsored product ROAS decreased by 1.7 quarter over quarter. However, it did increase 4.4% year over year at an average of $4.73. And then sponsored brands return on advertising, so ROAS fell by 1.6% quarter over quarter and increased year over year by 1.3 at an average of $3.77 in Q4 of 2022. All right, and last but not least for our metrics here, CPA rose for sponsored products and brand quarter over quarter. So sponsored products adds CPA of $6.91 represents a 6.6 increase quarter over quarter and a 5.2% decrease year over year. Sponsored brand ads CPA shows a 7.5 increase quarter over quarter, rising to $10.45 in Q4 over 2022, and CPA increased year over year by 10.8%.
Awesome, thank you. So these are category trends specific to Amazon that stood out to us. We just pulled a few that were interesting. So on the next slide, the first of these is toys and games. So this is always a big category for Q4. Lots of people shopping in the holidays, in advance of the holidays, and in Cyber 5. We also see advertisers really leaning into play in this space in Q4 too. So ad spend for the category was up 113% quarter over quarter, but ad spend was actually down year over year, which is kind of an interesting call out there. CPCs in the category remain flat. So at 49 cents, you'll see here on the left side, they're down significantly year over year. So that blue line is 2022, the red and green are 2020 and 2021. So you'll see that significant drop off in CPCs this year versus prior years. Conversion rate grew in Q4, increasing 37% quarter over quarter for Amazon sponsored products. So I think the net of this, this is a win for the toys and games category advertisers, specifically those that were advertising in Q4. While they likely saw those lower cost CPCs down versus prior years, consumers were still converting at really strong rates, ultimately driving strong sales around the holidays for them. Moving on to pet supplies. This is a fun category. I know just what the products that fit into this category, expensive to ship, pretty heavy, dog food, cat food, big shipping costs there. So it's always an interesting category. I know Amazon leaned in a little bit more to this category earlier last year. So when looking at it in Q4, we saw CPCs actually down 15% quarter over quarter with a CPC of $1.70 for sponsored products. And then the average ROAS was up 12% quarter over quarter to $4.50 for sponsored products in Q4. So advertisers that were selling in this space in Q4 were really able to end the year strong, capitalizing on these improved efficiencies in the category. And then finally, my favorite category, clothing, shoes, and jewelry. So as expected, sponsored products in the category significantly increased their spend here. So 53% quarter over quarter, with advertisers really leaning into Cyber 5 and the holiday period. Category CPCs did see a slight increase of 2% on sponsored products, but conversion rate was actually down. So that was down 8% quarter over quarter. So advertisers, I think in this category really faced more volatile landscape compared to other categories we took a look at. They're seeing more of that impact on the ongoing economic uncertainty and consumer behavior, likely due to that higher price point of products in this category.